Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Dayna Show. I'm your host, Dayna Kaplan. Before we begin, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, follow me on social media, and comment below. It really helps me out. Today's guest is someone whose life proves that limits are meant to be challenged. Beatie Deutsch is Israel's national marathon champion, a winner of both the Tiberias and Jerusalem marathon, and a standout competitor representing this country with pride and purpose. But this episode is not about medals or race times, it's about the person behind them. Beatie is a devoted mother of 5 and a woman of deep faith who didn't begin competitive running until later in her life, yet rose to become one of Israel's most inspiring athletes through resilience, hard work, and a belief that you can rewrite the expectations placed on you. She represents possibility not only for women or religious women, but for anyone who has ever felt like they had to choose just one path in life. You can be ambitious and spiritual, you can chase dreams and remain grounded, and you can be all parts of yourself fully and proudly. I'm truly honored to welcome Beatie Deutsch to the Dayna Show to talk about identity, courage, and the power of knowing that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Am Yisrael Chai. Let's get into it. They call you Speedy Beatie, right?
Do, yeah. That's a nickname I had from when I was a child, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't run as a girl. Like, I didn't know running was a sport. But growing up in, like, a Beis Yaakov, we played Machanayim.
Right.
And anytime the ball would go out of bounds, I would run and get the ball. So people used to joke I was like Speedy Beatie.
Oh, really?
So I guess it had some truth because I was a little fast.
So let's start off a little bit with your background, because maybe some of my viewers or listeners don't know who you are or not familiar with you. So why don't we talk about like your upbringing in Chutz La'aretz, your education, your Jewish education, and also what prompted you to make Aliyah?
Yeah, so I grew up in mostly Passaic, New Jersey, although I was born in Silver Spring, Maryland. My parents are Baalei Tshuva. They became religious when I was a baby. So I grew up my whole life religious.
What school did you go to?
In Passaic, I went to Yeshiva Ktan of Passaic, but I went to high school in Manhattan. It was called Manhattan High School for Girls. Very academic, very traditional. All the girls after high school went to Israel for the year to seminary. I went to the most Orthodox seminary you could go to. It's called BJJ, or Beth Jacob of Jerusalem. We had a uniform, a long blue skirt and light blue shirt.
Wow, this was in seminary.
This was in seminary.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't grow up with a lot of exposure to sports or like, elite running, elite performance, and I definitely didn't think that like as a religious Jew, you could have a career in sport. I would say that my parents were very broad-minded and we grew up in a, very religious community, but they themselves were always very open-minded and very encouraging, and we loved nature. And they would every summer take us to New Hampshire and do a lot of.
Were your parents athletic?
My dad is very athletic.
Okay.
Yeah. My father was an all-state football player.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah. So I'm definitely built like him. Like my massage therapist always jokes that I'm more of a sprinter than a marathon runner. But yeah. So the athleticism runs in the family, and we love to do push ourselves and just have fun as a family and do outdoor sports. I skied and I knew how to water ski, and I was a snowboard and I hiked.
Cool.
But it was all just, to like nothing on the level of competitive. And when I went to seminary for the year, I knew that I wanted to stay in Israel after that. And I pretty much told my mom, like, I'm not coming home. And the year after, I was a dorm counselor in a different seminary.
Mm-hmm.
And that year, I started dating. And actually, my dorm counselor from the year before set me up with her brother, who ultimately became my husband. After we dated for a month, we were engaged for 7 weeks.
Oh, wow.
We got married right before Pesach in America with our families, and then we flew back to Israel.
You knew right away that he was the one.
I wouldn't say right away, but like the way we dated was very focused. So It was just either it's taking you down the path towards marriage or you decide you're not for each other and then you move on. And ultimately, we decided we were right for each other, you know.
You know what's really interesting about what you just said now is that chinuch is like really important. A lot of people think it's about like your religion and what you show your kids in terms of that, but chinuch in terms of athleticism and health and stuff like that is also extremely important.
Absolutely. And I think that my parents also really ingrained in us a love of nature
Mm-hmm.
and just being outdoors and appreciating the world that Hashem has given us. And I've passed that on to my kids. Like my kid, we do not ever go to amusement parks or like man-made attractions. We're just all into hiking and my kids love it. And they have loved it because I've done it with them from a young age. And it's because that's how I grew up. And my husband was raised that way also. And I think it's the most amazing thing because our world is incredible. And like, there's so much in your backyard and you can,
especially here.
Yeah, we live on a moshav. So my kids get out all the time, just outdoors and ride their bikes and run and go to the fields and go on walks. And I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So tell me, how did you get into the running?
So honestly, I was an out of shape mom who hadn't exercised in 6 years and was feeling really like struggling to be consistent about any physical activity in my life and desperately wanting to change that. And I think that's like so something we all struggle with, like that consistency piece. And finally, I just came up with this idea that this was the real like motivation was my family had some races on the beach. Actually, I was with all my siblings and I used to be like the fastest one. And then here I am, I come in dead last and I'm like huffing and puffing after 100 meters. And I just felt so not myself. And I was like, what happened to you? And so I said to my husband after that, a month or two later, I was like, that's it. I'm signing up for a marathon. And I always laugh at this because no one in their right mind would say after not running, being able to barely run 100 meters, like I'm going to go run 42 kilometers.
Right.
Like that's not a logical jump. But because I craved consistency, I like wanted to be someone who got out the door and exercised 4 times a week. I knew I needed a goal that was so scary. It was going to obligate me to train. And like, I could have shown up and done a 5K, a 10K, even a half marathon without training much for it. But like, you don't wing a marathon. Like if you sign up for a marathon, it's serious business.
I tried to wing a marathon, well, a half marathon.
A half marathon's a different story. It really is.
Well, yeah, but it was still too much for me. Like all I did was, I was been pretty athletic most of my life as well. The only preparation I did was running on a treadmill. I didn't realize that it's completely hippie. It's rated.
Well, where'd you run? Where'd you run also?
Around the Kinneret.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like running, and after 5 kilometers, my legs are just not moving. Like
Wow.
I can't move it. I'm like,
Yeah.
So how did you go from running 100 meters to running 42 kilometers? How long did it take you to train? How did you know how to train?
I didn't know much. I think that naivety though is sometimes helpful. I said I'm going to give myself 4 months to train. My husband like Googles 4-month training plans for marathon. We find beginner training plan. I followed it like pretty religiously, although I was very conscious of like not running too fast. Like I'm just going to run slowly. I had no time goal when I signed up for this marathon. I just want to finish.
You didn't think you were going to win. You
I
just wanted to.
No, I just literally thought maybe I could finish it in under 5 hours. And the funny thing is that like, and this is the biggest thing I would say is that I had a plan. I think a lot of times what prevents us from like actually achieving the things we want is like not knowing step by step what it's going to take to get there. And like it was literally very clear, written down for me every single day of the week what I need to do. And so I felt very, in control. I'm like, all I need to do is check off the box. Did I run today? Did I do the amount that I was supposed to? I was doing 1 workout a week that was very basic. It wasn't, it was literally like 6 all out 30-second intervals with 3-minute recovery. It's like a sprinting workout. I don't know, but I thought that was good enough for me. And the rest of the thing I followed his plan. And I did do 3 32-kilometer long runs, which some people only do like 1 or 2. I wanted 3. I wanted to like know I could do the distance. And actually, my husband, I give him all the credit for really discovering that I was good at running. Because he said to me a month before the race, he was like, "Come on, Beatie, like you don't want to just finish it. Like you want to know you got your best possible time." And
Is that the way you are in general?
yes, definitely. I mean, I don't think that someone gets to like where I've gotten without being that type of that person. And I was always like that as a child, but I think that I lost that piece of me becoming a mom. And
Yeah, it gets covered up with.
you're just
everything else.
I was in survival
Right.
mode for 6 years. You know, I had 4 kids in 6 years. It was like, and we lived on a college campus for 2 years and hosted students. And I was so busy taking care of everyone else. Like my own goals and dreams were so not in the picture.
Were you worried that your body, because of having your kids, wasn't going to be strong enough or fast enough or like able to complete the mission?
No, I happen to be blessed with like, I'm like, I don't worry about anything.
Okay.
Like I don't know I don't know how to worry. Yes. Like it didn't even cross my mind. I just was like, and every time I'd run, I'd feel good. Like I did love running from the beginning.
Okay.
So he pretty much told me like, go run a half marathon, see what you could do on half the distance. And then the race predictor will tell you what you should be capable of in the full marathon. And I was very skeptical, but I went to Gun Soccer and ran my own half marathon. And I remember just thinking, Beatie, if you could go a little faster every lap, try and see how you can do. And I ended up running like a 1:41 in this half marathon. And he told me that the race predictor says I should be able to run the marathon in 3.5 hours. And I thought he was absolutely nuts. And there was no way I was going to be able to do that. But he did not give up on me that easily. He bought me a running watch. He actually programmed it that it would like beep if I went too fast or too slow. And every mile I was supposed to get progressively faster. So I had this like range every mile. I'm supposed to go a little bit. And I remember I was feeling nervous before the race, like, because you just don't even know if you're going to be able to finish, right? Like, it's like this huge goal. And I remember the butterflies in my stomach at the start line. And I ended up running 3:27.
What is going through your mind while you're running? What are you listening to music?
I wasn't listening. No, I don't listen to music.
So what's going through your mind? Win, or is it like
So in terms of a marathon, you need to pace yourself pretty much like the first half. You want to be as relaxed and calm as possible. So I'm not even trying to think about anything as much as like soak in the atmosphere, feel gratitude, enjoy the environment, take it all in. Just anything that keeps myself relaxed. It's not about pushing at that point. It's really just about chilling. Like that's what I love about a marathon. You get a nice long chill and you are running pretty fast. When you're, I've run a 2:31 marathon. So like it's very fast, but but your body builds up to be able to handle that pace. Mm-hmm. The second half, I'm like all in on like focus, like lock in, like you're a lot of times working through different things that come up. There's definitely doubt. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hang on to the end and this doesn't feel great.
How do you feel when you see people running faster than you?
Well, I think if I'm like...
Are you feeling competitive?
If it's a race and I'm racing other women, then it's definitely, it's like you feel competitive and you do everything in your power to kind of hang on or push, go faster. And like, sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Like I just ran the half marathon national championship on Friday and I was 3rd place, but it wasn't like... I was very far behind the first 2 women. I knew already that I knew what shape they were in. I knew what I was in. I knew it wasn't going to be competition between men and them. And then there was no woman close to me. So I wasn't really competing for any spots, which is always like an interesting place to be in because you're competing with yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel good, there's definitely a voice in your head is like, all right, you're going to come in 3rd. Who cares how fast you go? And really, at the end of the day, life is not like that and racing's not like that. You want to get the most out of yourself. You're fighting for every second that you can give. And I think
You're better to do better than you did the time before.
Yeah, and to just like 1% better, push yourself. It's just the idea of not getting comfortable, right? Like don't stay comfortable. Can you get more out of yourself? And that's very hard. I think I've been racing competitively for almost 7 years. So I've learned I'm not a newbie anymore. And I've learned a lot. And it's even harder now because in the beginning, you're still finding your limits and you keep improving so easily. And I've plateaued now and I don't believe that I've reached my potential, but getting back to where I was is a challenge,
Yeah. And you're also getting a little older, I'm sorry to say. I mean, it's just the reality of
That's the reality. I think that I think like there's a difference between 36 and 40. I'm 36 now. But there's also a difference between 36 and 30 and how your body recovers. And I see when I was 30.
Notice the difference?
I think I just need...
I'm not sure I can make you feel better.
No, I definitely... Right now, I could say I don't know if it's that. Like a lot of my coaches have told me no, like you don't have to worry about that right now. But I think that I need more sleep than I used to. I survived on really very little sleep. And that's not healthy so much as an athlete, but I'm really trying now
So
to
that's
just
my
get the 8
question for
hours.
you. Like,
yeah.
at one point in my life, I wanted to compete in Olympic weightlifting. Okay. And I got a coach and I started working on it. And then I realized, like, well, it's different because I'm a single mother. So it was like, if I wasn't with my kids, there was no one else to take care of them. I realized what a huge sacrifice it was to do it. If you want to be like really great in your field, you have to sacrifice a lot of time, right? So I couldn't end up doing it. It just didn't work out for me. You can't half-ass it. You have to give it
Totally.
your all. I'm wondering about you. You had, at the time when you started, at least four children, you said. How did you find the time to compete at that kind of level when you
So
had such a huge
I
responsibility?
have 5 kids.
Now you have 5
Yeah.
kids.
I would say that initially I didn't start out trying to be competitive. I started out running because I needed it for myself. I think that every mother deserves to exercise and make time for yourself. And 4 times a week to get out the door and run was manageable. I was working and my kids were little, but my husband was like supportive and I supported him. You know, he went cycling every Friday for 3 hours and I let him, I encouraged him to do that from when we were married, like always, because I saw how good, I think it's so important for your mental health, not just your physical well-being. It's important on every level. So it gets more tricky when you're really, hitting the upper level of performance and you're trying to get those like last seconds of like, because that is an all-in pursuit. And at the end of the day, so now it's like very clear to me that I'm not going to make choices that sacrifice my family. Like I am a mother first. And yeah, if I really wanted to compete at the highest level, I'd go to Kenya and train for 6 weeks at a time and not see my family. But that's not me. I want to see what I can do within the role of being a mother.
That's a healthy outlook. Wow.
Yeah. And I really believe like that's what I'm meant to do, because it's all, for me, running has always been a platform. Like, how can I bring more light into the world, more godliness into the world? I think one of the messages that I can bring is just like the most cherished role you'll ever have is being a mom. If you have the privilege of being a mother, whatever else you're doing, someone can replace you. And no one can replace you as a mom, right? And it's hard, like, because I do also believe that mothers can achieve amazing things. Like people always put me on that, pedestal of like, look at this super mom and you can have a career and sport. And I do believe that, but I've had to take just a more honest perspective of like, sure, you can achieve a lot and you should have big dreams and you should pursue them. And you're a role model for your children when you do, but don't forget who your number one priority is,
That's
and like,
beautiful.
I once was on a panel and she asked me like, what do I want my legacy to be? And I remember it was so spontaneous because like I told you, I never look at questions before. So in the moment I started crying. I'm like, I just want to be a good mom. It was so clear to me. And I remind myself of that. And maybe people will look at it as like a cop out, because if you really like the top athletes they just do it. But it doesn't align with like the values that I believe in.
And also being a good mom is also being a good role model.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Right?
And yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think like the relationships in life, like your family, your spouse, your children, even friends, like those are very important to invest in. And I am not willing to sacrifice in those areas, really.
What about when it comes to being an advocate now for Israel, right? You've become like this Israeli athlete who's representing us in all these different countries. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, that's amazing. Like, it's not hard for me. It's so it's so awesome. Like when I was in Berlin, I just also, like I said to you, I don't have anxiety. I don't get scared. So like, to me, it's like, I am so proud. The more hate, the better. Like, you release our country. Like, I will show you exactly what it means to be a proud Jewish mother. And honestly, to me, what representing your country and your values is about is like knowing so clearly who you are and what you stand for, that people respect you for it. Like that unabashed pride of, and in a respectful way. like, I think that we bring light to the world. And when you understand the incredible contribution you make and that you strive to be a light wherever you go, then people will feel your light and they will respect you for who you are. And I've experienced that in so many ways, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was in Kenya, and this is not an example of anti-Semitism, but like they thought it was so interesting that I was wearing a skirt, right? They've never seen a woman running in a skirt before. Like, and
Is it comfortable to run in a skirt?
Yeah, it's totally comfortable. Yeah, I'm used to it.
Oh, we have a common denominator.
Who?
Jill Shanzer.
Oh, yeah.
She's my ex-sister-in-law.
She's amazing. Well, she made great skirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wear her stuff?
I do, yeah.
Cool,
And
cool,
I've worked with her a lot.
Okay, cool.
So I was explaining to them just like, you know, I'm the daughter of a king, and I dress in a dignified manner, and they loved it, and it really resonated with them, and you know, they were cheering me on wearing a skirt. And when I was in Berlin,
How do they cheer you on wearing a skirt?
Oh, lady with a skirt, lady with a skirt. I've gotten that a lot. But when I was in Berlin, also, this just happened in September. So I was running the marathon, and there were 3 other Israeli athletes, guys, and we weren't part of an official delegation, but we were all obviously in the elite field and Israeli, and they were too scared to wear Israel on their shirt. And I was going to wear Israel on my shirt, and the race director came over to me the day before the race, and he said, you know, we've gotten some concerning reports from, like, there were just really bad incidents in Spain. They tried to attack the Israeli cycling team, and I totally respect your decision, but like, I just wanted to let you know, like, maybe you don't want to wear Israel on your shirt. And I said, don't worry, I'm going to be fine. Like, I trust in God, and it's okay. And he said, okay, I respect it. I just can't guarantee your safety. I said, fine. The next day, though, he came over to me, and right before the race, was the morning of the race. He's like, I just want to take a picture of you because I want the police to like have an eye on you. And I said, oh, thanks. That's really nice. And
that's really nice.
The race started, and I noticed after 2 kilometers that I had like 2 cyclists kind of riding next to me. Now, they normally have a cyclist on the course for like the first lady. I was not the first lady. And then I see like they're not leaving my side. And it like took a couple like kilometers for me to like have it click. Like, the race director organized guards to be with me every step of the way because he wanted to protect me and make sure nothing happened. Wow. It was so incredible. And I felt, first of all, just like, I hadn't said anything, and I didn't try to make a whole stink like, oh, you have to do this for me. Like, I just was like, I'm a proud Jew. I'm back in Berlin. And he got it, and he wanted to support that, and he wanted to make sure I was safe. And we didn't have any incidents. But to me, you know, when you're a Jew and you go into the world, no matter what you're doing, you represent something bigger than yourself. And so you have an obligation to remember that and carry that responsibility with pride and make a positive impact.
You say Jew, but you don't say Israeli. Do you feel Israeli?
I think it's both. You know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think Israelis even more. We have more of an obligation because the world looks at us in a certain way. So we have to change their mind. We have to show how positive we can be and how much light we bring to the world. And, you know, just...
Have you had any negative experiences since October 7th?
Yeah, here and there, you know, you get some like negative cheering, but one situation happened. I was training in Flagstaff this summer, and which is generally they were very pro-Israel, like it's Arizona. I was with some other elite athletes. We did a long run together, and at the end I wanted to take a picture. Now, one of the runners she's from England originally, and she has a huge social media platform, like, I don't know, 300,000 followers, whatever, YouTube, everything. And I even said before we take the picture, if anyone feels uncomfortable about being with, like, I was wearing a shirt with Israel on it, like, no problem, whatever, I understand. I don't even know why I felt the need to say it. Like, afterwards, I was like, you don't need to apologize. But afterwards, my phone was broken, and they had taken it on her phone. She refused to send me the picture, and we had taken videos together. Her husband is like always takes professional video content, and we had been running together the whole time and having nice conversations, but she wouldn't send any of the videos. She was clearly too scared to be seen on social media, and she couldn't even talk to me about it. That's what made me upset. Like, don't be nice to my face and then hate me behind my back. If you have a problem with my country or me, then talk to me about it. Like, maybe I can change your mind, you know? But she was too scared.
I think that you're such a positive representation of the country. And if anything, you're, like you said in the beginning, you're spreading the light of how amazing it is here. And hopefully changing opinions of people around the world, right?
Hopefully, yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about, I know this is a subject that you talk about a lot, and probably you get a lot of questions about being an Orthodox Jew, right? We talked about wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that there's been backlash from like the Frum community on you representing Israel as a runner?
So if you would talk about like in Israel, things are pretty black and white. You have like the Haredi community, you have more the Dati Leumi world, and you now have a new kind of segment, the open-minded Haredi community. So the traditional Haredi community definitely doesn't accept what I'm doing, but I'm not really part of that. When I started running, I was living in Har Nof, but I was very respectful to never run in Har Nof. I would say that even though I sent my kids to traditional, and yes, I did. When I sent my daughter to a traditional Beis Yaakov, and the principal gave me some feedback when I ran a marathon 7 months pregnant. She was not a fan of it. I was very
Because you're pregnant, or because you're
because
a
it made a because I was a woman running in public, and there was articles about it, and I was very blessed that my Rav and mentor, encouraged me to keep doing it, and he said that he'll be a support for me wherever I need, and if any questions come up, and I can always ask him. And he said to me something that I really believe is like, if you want to make change, the way you make change is by showing up and being the light you want to see, being the change you want to see. And so he said, I think what you're doing is really important for the world. He said, for people to see how you really are not compromising on your values as a Torah Jew, and you're still able to achieve these, high levels of sport. And I've accepted, like, to me, so yeah, I prefer not to talk about, and I haven't received a lot of negativity, but they're here and there. I just know if you put me in the traditional Orthodox community, they would not really accept what I'm doing. So I ended up switching my children to more of the open-minded Haredi schools, and I would say even now, I'll put myself more in the like Mizrahi world, and I do a lot more speaking and influencing in that sphere, because they really do appreciate, like, women being able to accomplish and they appreciate what I'm doing. And I think that especially since October 7th, even unfortunately, our Jewish community needs more unity, but in certain ways there have been like stronger, just idea, like stronger reasons for me to say I don't necessarily want to align myself with the Haredi community. Like, I believe that we should be as any boy that should be serving in the army, and it's important. And I honestly, if you would ask me like how I define myself, I hate labels, and it's like at the end of the day, I don't think there's one way to serving God, and I don't think
I agree.
Think that like when you come from the Haredi world, you almost believe that like it's this way or no, or nothing else. Like this is the only way, and that's not true, because Hashem says, diracheha darchenon, like the Torah says, like her ways are beautiful. The ways of the Torah. There are many ways. Shivim panim the Torah. There are 70 different paths, and if every Jew is meant, like, we're not all meant to look alike and do the same thing, and we're all unique, and we're all going to discover a unique path to a relationship with God. And if you really believe that, then there will be less judgment and less hatred and less. I think sometimes people almost feel like intimidated, or like they're not living up to something, or they compare themselves, or I have to, but it doesn't have to. You don't have to do the exact same thing, right?
That's what I was going to ask you. My next question was going to be, how has your view of Yiddishkeit for yourself changed since the beginning of this journey? And I think that you've answered part of it now. Do you have a more of an answer?
I'm always evolving, and I think also certain personal circumstances.
Who was the Beatie before, and who's the Beatie now?
Like, I don't know. I think at my core, I've always really cared deeply about Hashem and Torah, and bringing as much Judaism and sharing the beauty of Judaism with the world, like in the best way that I can. But like, I think that I came from an approach that was very black and white, and it was like pretty much like no gray. And if you had to ask me now, I think there's a lot more gray than black and white. And I believe there's a lot more nuance. And sometimes part of me is like, oh, I wish that I could still be living that pure, all in Torah lifestyle. But then I think that I've come to a place where I've realized like that might work for certain people, but it's not for me. And what I'm doing is really beautiful also. And like, not to have that as my like my husband is definitely like in his own journey. I would say he's a lot more to the left than I am. Let's say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
in terms of what?
He's like,
for an example.
A lot of things. I would say he's anti-Haredi. Like I'm not anti-Haredi. Like I think it's beautiful, but like I think that I think there are some negative things, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nothing. Like religion is hard for him. It's
okay.
Not, yeah. But to me,
so you had to,
I found my own path that is very much about becoming a better human being and becoming closer to Hashem in my life and focusing on what does my relationship with Hashem look like and how am I always working on that relationship and then applying whatever I'm working on also to other human beings, right? Like ultimately, I think that we're put here in this world to perfect our character and our soul. And you do that on many different levels. And when you're constantly thinking about like, how can I bring more of God's light into the world? How can I become a better human being? Then that is a very high level. It just people might not look on the outside what people consider to be ultra-Orthodox, And to me, it's not about external appearances. It's about what is your inside, what is driving you, what are you thinking about, what do you deeply care about, what do you feel, what do you put, So
you sound really genuine in what you're saying right now. My question is, do you ever feel pressure to maintain a certain image?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that like I will never, I wouldn't say pressure because like I don't feel pressure. It's but I think that at the end of the day, part of my, there's a concept of nikudata bechira, your choice box, your free will. You have free will to. And ultimately, we only get reward for the choices where we're exercising our free will. And once I don't think that I'm really exercising free will anymore by choosing to dress modestly because I don't think I'm really choosing. I think that I have this expectation of like, this.
You do want to rip off the skirt? Come on, Beatie. Do you want to rip off the skirt?
Maybe, it's like, is it like.
I let you.
Yeah. And my husband would tell me a million times over, like, he's like, well, he's like convinced. He laughs at me for wearing 3/4 sleeves. Like, come on, your elbows are so sexy. Like, it matters. And I'm like, I don't know if it matters or not, but it doesn't bother me. So I'll just keep doing it, And that's not necessarily the real, like, I also believe that like there's a value to modesty that I appreciate. And that even if I don't fully understand all the details of the laws of modesty, I want to align myself with that. So I keep doing it. And like, I think that there's value, like I think there's a tremendous value in halacha, even if I don't always understand it. And when you observe, when you're constantly trying to incorporate the details in your life, I understand why there's beauty in detail, because when you're a high performing athlete, you obsess over the details. So if you're trying to get somewhere and achieve something and be, and if you care deeply about something, you will invest in the details. So that makes sense to me. Like I need to care about the details because I'm invested in this relationship with God. And there's a certain character and strength and discipline that you build by doing that,
Who are you when you close the door at home or to your room and you take off the sheitzel and the mitpach?
I'm an imperfect, messy human being who tries to show up as her, like for her family and herself. But I'm definitely, I struggle in so many areas and I don't think I hide it, Like most people will say, everyone who's ever met me has always said, wow, you're exactly the same as like on your Instagram. And it's like, why is that even a thing? Like, why would I be any different,
Yeah.
I think that I've been open about, I've struggled with disordered eating, and I've struggled with, just the comparison trap of being in one place and then trying to get back to that, and injuries and failure.
Are you still struggling with that? With eating?
Yeah. And like, I think that that's the biggest thing, in a way that I love everything that running gave me, but I think it reopened things that I had, I had dealt with it as a girl in high school, in a very different way.
Are you willing to discuss it a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Can you get into what happened?
So when I was in 11th grade, I started like really kind of being very calorie conscious and like really focused on losing weight. Although, again, I had like no weight to lose. I was never like, How did
that happen? What prompted that?
I think maybe like a little bit of I'm a little bit of that type A perfectionist. And I don't know, it was a control thing. I think that I always I had very high standards for myself. And like in my mind, if I wasn't perfectly skinny, I wasn't enough. And it's funny because I'm not like very into beauty or fashion or clothing. So it was like, it wasn't about that. It was like how I feel in my body and how I like to feel. And something about it gave me control. And it continued in 12th grade and seminary. It got worse at different points. And then I didn't ever do a real proper therapy, I would say. But the year after seminary, it ended up just like, I got over it, like miraculous, like it just left me, I can't explain exactly how.
How bad did it get?
Never to the point that was like dangerous. I would say that I was like borderline anorexic, but not, no, I would say disordered eating, overeating disorder. I wasn't like in the unhealthy place. I was like getting close, but
you had an unhealthy image of food.
Yeah, for sure. And like very restrictive on myself. But then I think it I don't even know exactly how it lifted, but it did. And I really didn't struggle at a certain point. And I got married and I started having kids, and, it was gone.
Okay.
And then I think when I started getting more serious about running, so initially when you introduce like a new stimulus, like you lose weight, so when I first started running, part of my motivation was like, yeah, I want to get back in shape and I want to like lose a little bit of weight. And like it happened without even trying, right? Because I was running, I hadn't exercised at all. Now I'm running down, building up to a marathon, and it felt so good, right?
Yeah.
And I look good. And then I did have my 5th child. And I came back from that. I'm running again. I was healthy. When I trained for my first really serious marathon, I remember like my husband, it was like, if you really want to be like competitive, like you should be eating, like focus kind of like on what you're eating, and like the lighter you are, the faster you run. He was not saying it in any negative way, really. Like he always tells me he regrets that he even said that, but it was in my head a bit, And so then I would like, without really, again, I started running more. So naturally I lost a little bit of weight, and I was at my lowest weight when I won my first national championship marathon. That was in 2019. And once I started training, and that's when I got accepted to represent Israel in international competitions. And a couple months into that, I realized that it was starting to take over in my head a bit, like that I was obsessing a little bit, and like that I cared very much about, that I was getting more conscious of it. And I kept ramping up my training, so I really needed to increase my caloric intake.
You didn't have a coach?
I had a coach, but I didn't have a real nutritionist that was like advising me. So I didn't know exactly how to go about it, but I think I was like really trying to balance like listening to my body, fueling healthy, and slowly noticing how much it was, filtering in my thoughts. And then I ended up dealing with some like very like a couple years, like a few years later, developed like a pretty like, it's not terrible, but like I would say a disordered eating behavior that I've been working through to get over, and it just comes up and back and forth, and like I'm not fully.
What's your weakness? What's your fall?
I just don't want to like introduce something that people don't like. I would just say a trigger. Like if it is something you struggle with, like what I would end up doing is like if I wanted to have something, if I craved something sweet that wasn't like that I didn't really want to eat, but like I wanted to, I would just like chew it and then spit it out. And it became a habit, and then it became an addiction. And I started and stopped a few times. Like I got over it, but then like different, emotional triggers would bring it back again. And
wow.
I felt a lot. I still do feel, because it's something that I still struggle with. Like I'm not over it. And I feel so much guilt and shame in being like this model of like, healthy, athletic, a mom, like all these things. And then, but this is like your deep, dark secret that you still struggle with.
Well, first of all, kol hakavod that you're actually bringing it up. That's really a sign of like, of recovery, is to actually admit that you have a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I've talked about it this week with my I have an amazing nutritionist now.
Okay, good.
If anyone ever needs, she's just so wonderful. And like,
okay, so what does she say about it?
She's really helpful in helping me like figure out, why is this important for me to like get over, because
But like, even from a competing standpoint, your competing will get better if you sustain your body with the fuel that it needs.
So I eat healthy, like I do. Like I give myself enough fuel. Like I'm not starving myself at all.
Okay.
Definitely not.
So just the extra things.
It's just that this is I don't like the fact that this is something that I'm like addicted to. I don't like the fact that I feel guilt and shame around it. I don't like that it's like a secret that I hide. I think that,
well, it's not
anymore. Right. Yeah. I don't like that. I think it creates this like constant restriction, craving cycle in my head. And I don't want to be, I want to be in a more healthy place, which is hard, because I would say eating as an athlete and fueling for performance is very different than just regular nutrition. Yeah. If I didn't care, if I was, if I wasn't trying to hit these marathon times, I wouldn't care. Right now, I'm really healthy and happy with my body. But there's this constant thought in my head of like, well, you kind of need to lose 2 kilos. And like, if you just lost it, because I'm heavier now than I was when I first started training.
You look amazing. You look amazing.
But but everyone knows, like I'm saying, everyone can, yourself, like, so, and I know myself very well. I know exactly like how much I weighed at certain points and what I felt like. And with running, it's, even though my coaches have told me so many times now, like that's not what's making the difference. There's definitely like, a thought in my head, like because I've run like a 2:31 marathon, and right now I'm not quite there. Like I'm pretty far from it, I would say. And like, I really want to get back to that. I want to get faster than that. So there's always this like piece in me that's like, if you just were, the 2 kilo lower than that used to be, you'd be running those times,
But what's your week training like? How often do you train? How often do you train, and how often do you actually run just for yourself, for fun?
Well, I run every day, and usually like 4 times a week, or I'll run twice a day. But we only run, but I love running. So that's great. I would say all the easy runs, I feel very much like for myself. And even workouts are fun to me. Sometimes they're harder, but like, I don't feel like it's a job, because first of all, I'm not even getting paid most of the time. Like I'm not getting paid to do it. I choose to do it, and I get to do it. And it's a privilege. And I love it. Like just this morning, running in the winter here is the best. The air is clear.
What about wet?
I love rain.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's so great.
Even though your feet get all wet
inside? There's waterproof sneakers these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't go out if it's crazy, but I've done some intense rainy runs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever competed in the rain?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Definitely. Yeah.
What's that like?
It's fun. For me, I always feel like I have an advantage because I'm like mentally tough. So like the rain is not going to get in my way. I'm just going to like push through, and I like it. Lock in. Yeah.
Amazing. Let's talk about and wrap up with the movie that's coming out in the end of December.
Oh, right? Well, the movie has come out.
Yeah, it's out already, but it's in the Jerusalem Film Festival. It's coming out
again. I didn't even know.
Yeah, on December 28th.
Okay, it was in the Jerusalem Film Festival last year.
Yeah, but
so I guess they're doing it again.
Yeah.
The movie's cool because
it's called Marathon Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They followed me for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
It was a really long time. And when they initially wanted to make the movie, I first said, no, I don't need a documentary about me. I'm fine. And they had thought it was going to be kind of about the story of me qualifying for Tokyo and not running in Tokyo because it was on Shabbos. So like That was going to be the arc of the story of this, athlete who makes it to the Olympics but chooses not to because of Shabbat. But then COVID came and everything changed, and they ended up basically following me chasing this criteria of 2:29:30 that I never ended up hitting. And ultimately it became so much more about the theme that came out was kind of like, when you're so caught up in chasing an outcome, you can lose yourself along the way. And if you want to be successful, you have to be able to appreciate and lean into the process, and it can't just be about trying to chase an outcome. And you see that so clearly. And it's like a message that I have had to internalize and really deeply internalize. And I think that people relate to it in so many different areas. That's what I love about the movie. Like you can watch it and don't have to be a runner or a mom or any of it, but it's about, juggling a lot in your life and striving to achieve really big goals and dreams.
Any regrets
About the movie?
No, not the movie, but about the process that is
Yeah,
you here.
I have a regret. I have a few, but one of them was like in 2022, I ran the Seville Marathon and I ran at 2:31:36 or 34. That was that. And at the time when I ran that race, I was trying to run 2:29:30. So again, I was off by 2 minutes and I was devastated.
Oh, really?
Devastated. And I had only improved my personal best by 3 seconds. And I remember my coach telling me, he said, don't be so upset because there will come a time when you don't set any more personal records. And a personal record is always a personal record. Like that's something to celebrate. And I couldn't really hear him. And the crazy thing is that still stands as my personal record today. That was in 2022 and I haven't yet improved. I don't believe it. I hope I'll break it. I believe I still can. But I didn't even know how true his words were. And as a result, that I was feeling so incomplete with myself. I think my ego took over and I felt the need to go and run the half marathon in Tel Aviv less than a week later. And I ultimately ended up injuring myself and missing out on competing in the World Championships and the European Championships that summer because I was injured, which was a real bummer. So
oh, wow.
I have a regret that I just couldn't appreciate what I'd accomplished in that moment, and that I felt like I always say this, but I didn't do it. It's like cheer yourself on for every single second because progress is progress is progress.
Yeah. But what is the message that you want to leave your children with, your legacy? What's the message that you want people to get from your experience?
I think that never stop believing in yourself because you have so much to offer the world. And if you haven't yet discovered your true calling, you will uncover it if you keep seeking that. And to know your worth and appreciate your unique strengths and gifts and share them with the world.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here today. It's been so inspiring sitting here and talking to you. And I wish you so much luck in the future and everything that you do. And thank you for being an inspiration to all of us here in Israel, to Yahadut, to women. I mean, it's like you should just be matzliach in everything you do. Never give up, and always be confident in yourself.
Yes.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
The simcha rabbah, and I hope we'll be there cheering you on at all your different competitions.
God willing.
Yay! Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Dayna Show. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to the podcast, like and share with your friends on social media, and rate us 5 stars. Don't forget to tune in next week, and we'll see you then.